All right, here we go. Episode 4 of the Brendel Breakdown featuring former Cincinnati general manager, assistant coach in college basketball, and all around just general great guy, Chris LePore. We will get to it here in just a second. This show is brought to you by the Job Center. It's a light industrial staffing agency owned by Kyle Decker and headquartered right here in Cincinnati. Our very own Chris LePore joined the Job Center team in the summer of 2023 as a national account manager. If you're connected to a company that uses staffing services, reach out to Chris. He will personally follow up with you about partnering in the mission to change lives at the Job Center. All right, let's get this bad boy on the road. Unfortunately, 0-2 since we last spoke. A tough one at home against Oklahoma, and then just not enough firepower to get things done in Allen Fieldhouse. Chris, I will tell you when I knew they were in trouble.
All right, and when would that be?
When we pulled into Lawrence, Kansas, and the entire city was covered in a dense fog. I was like, oh, come on.
Setting up fog,
Allen Fieldhouse.
Yeah.
The entire city is covered in fog. Get out of here. That's not real.
Fog machines everywhere.
Unbelievable. Like the whole town. Like you could barely see, like you've been there. The baseball field is right out the back doors of the gym. You could barely see the outfield.
Wow.
Because the fog was so thick. I was like, oh, this is crap. The fix is in. The fix is in.
Hey, 2-game skid, just an opportunity to set up a big one this weekend against our American Conference friends, the UCF Knights.
I don't know that we'll call them friends. Former conference mates or something. Friends seems, There
we go. When I think of UCF, I think of that one time I don't know who it was for them that went after coach's shoes and just had to lay him flat with a nice, nice Twitter rebuttal. Things that I've learned from you over the years.
It's kind of what we do. That's why I don't run both accounts. Nobody needs 2 accounts with me. I always get asked, why don't you have a burner? And I'm like, what would I say on the burner that I don't say on my main account? I just gotta say it.
Yeah, that's not in the cards for you. Not in the cards for you.
All right, Coach, what do we got this week?
All right, class is going to stay in session on the topic of offense. Got some good questions this week, one that we're going to jump into right away. First one being this end of game sideline out of bounds play. Got some questions about this. Obviously, it was executed very well. Unfortunately, couldn't turn it into a steal and a quality shot attempt to finish the game, but this was really well executed, and we will go ahead and start by breaking this down. Josh Reed has the ball out of bounds. Obviously, Josh is not a 20-30 minute a game guy right now. I think he's earned a role on this team as a sophomore, but the reason why he's the inbounder here, and if you'll notice, he's the late game full court inbounder as well. 1, because he's got a strong arm, and 2, he is one of the better passers on the team, and it helps that he is 6'7" and can see over the defense, because a lot of times you'll put a taller guy guarding the inbounder here because point guards take it out sometimes, and it makes it hard for them to see, makes it hard for them to deliver the pass on time. So Josh is the perfect candidate to take the ball side out of bounds. And he's a smart kid who's, never made anything less than an A+ his whole life. So that helps as well. All right, so let's jump into it here. 4 seconds. So we obviously want to get something as quickly as possible on the rim. The play is going to Aziz, okay? Aziz is going to be the cutter. And typically in these late game situations where you want to get something going towards the rim, you'll identify your best shooter to be the screener. And that's what you'll see we're setting up here. This combination of CMOS setting the screen, Aziz receiving the screen, and the pass coming right on the money from Josh. So let's take a look at it. All right, you see Aziz has his hand up here. This is what we call acting. All right, Typically, you'll put your hand up if you're the one going to set a screen. You know, a little disguise, a little acting here from Aziz. Putting up his hand like he's going to set a screen, but really he is about to receive one from CMOS. So Aziz does his part selling it. CMOS goes and clips his man, which is great. I think the defender here has an idea of what's coming. He's in pretty good position. But again, if the ball's delivered perfectly, you've got a 7-1 athlete right here that can go up and grab it regardless. So they do kind of sniff it out. But again, great offense can sometimes beat great defense. And that's what we have here. Very well executed. Let's run it back one more time. Again, setting this up with CMOS being the screener, Aziz being your cutter, getting the lob. Great pass by Josh Reed here. Well done. Hopefully we can see this again in maybe a tie game or down one. Maybe that'll be a chance to win a game late in the season. So keep your eyes open for that late game, sideline out of bounds, lob play. Good execution there. All right, let's jump to the Kansas game. Going to talk offense. Coming down the floor here, wanted to talk a little bit about the difference between secondary break, fast break, and half court set. All right, after a made basket or a dead ball, typically you don't have the advantage to be in fast break mode. Sometimes there's an opportunity for that, but most of the times we're going to come down the floor and either call a play, which will take a little longer to set up, or flow right into what they call secondary break, where we're pushing the ball and we're going to quickly try to get into our action or our flow offense here. So here we see Day throws it back to the trail big reverses it, and then we go set a ball screen. This is really common throughout college basketball, widely known as what we would call a follow action. All right, so a little bit of a secondary break here. Didn't have the primary break, not calling a play. It's kind of that in between. So reversal, ball screen, playing off that ball screen. Don't have anything there, but we like the matchup, so we throw it inside. When the ball goes inside against Kansas, a lot of times they will double the post, which is what we see here after a few dribbles. You'll see Dickinson come over to double. Rule of thumb on offense, when your post player gets doubled, okay? So we see the double team happening here. Obviously, you know, maybe Magic Johnson can make this pass to Aziz right here. He looks like he's wide open. He's calling for the ball, but we got 7'2" and 6'8" physical strong guys double teaming you in an uncomfortable situation. Probably not going to be able to make that pass. These three guys on the perimeter got to give Vic an outlet here. We should see John Newman sprinting to the ball, Dan finding the open spot, Day finding the open spot, which you'll see them do. John finding the open spot. He relocates it. This is a great pass out of the double team by Vic. On the money to Dan. Now, Kansas is in a little bit of a scramble now coming out of the double team. So we want to attack that, which Day does. All right, to talk offense now. Anytime on a baseline drive, okay, we need to get the opposite corner filled. So on this baseline drive, we should see John Newman sprinting to that corner so that if he doesn't have the layup, he can jump out of bounds and throw the ball here. It's almost impossible to jump out of bounds and throw the ball here. You've got the basket. You've got 4 defensive players. The other thing we should see is Dan Skillings following the ball to give him an outlet if he gets stuck here and needs to reverse pivot and find an outlet. All right, so let's see if those two things happen. You see John Newman sprint to the corner. You see Dan filling behind. That's really good execution. And again, now Kansas is having to close out. We have an advantage, shot fake, attack, and then I think we've seen that we can get to this quite often, right? An angle at the rim, a quality shot. We would mark this down as a quality shot, but just have not been able to convert at a high enough rate on these opportunities. And that's going to be an area of focus going into these next string of games. Let's finish when we get to the front of the rim, when we have an advantage, when we have an angle at the basket. So that's been an area of struggle that will hopefully be corrected so that we can put more points on the board.
Question there.
Yeah.
as a coach, is that like, is it easier to fix that, or is it easier to fix like if the guy didn't sprint to the corner to give him the outlet? Like if you're a coaching staff, which do you prefer having to correct?
The technical piece of where to be on the floor and when, the timing things, those are a film session. Those are, addressed in practice. Um, the angled finishes, watching film's not going to help that a ton, unless it's a situation where shouldn't have shot this one, should have passed it here. Obviously, nobody else is open, so this is the right play. Unless we're trying to teach a different decision to be made. This is just where players got to be players, right? We just got to finish this, guys. It's like there's not a lot else from a teaching standpoint to do. The technical stuff of where to be and what time, that stuff is coached all the time on film, all the time in practice. But the finishing plays, knocking down shots, making your layups, that's where you just got to trust your guys that they're gonna make plays more times than not.
How much do you guys bring the pads out, the football pads, and smack on guys as they're trying to attempt layups?
Oh, that's every day. That is every day. The pads will be out. Assistant coaches, maybe the younger, graduate assistants are doing more of the pad work these days. Your walk-ons will sometimes, do some of the pad work. And I think pad work's great. I think there's a time and a place for it, pre-practice or like controlled drill work. But much more a big believer that the best way to finish against live defense is to finish against live defense. And so I think I'm seeing more and more across college basketball when full speed drill work is happening, seeing less pads and more like live defense, even if it's a scout team player or a graduate assistant or a manager, more live defense, just so you can continue to get those live reps. Same way in Coach Miller's practices.
Perfect.
All right, next possession. Still in the first half here, 3-point game. All right, you can see here we're in somewhat of a secondary break situation. But when Day gets the ball, he's looking over to Coach Miller, right? He's getting a call. We're signaling something in. He looks back one more time, make sure we got that call right. Let me tell the rest of the gang. And we're going right into what we would call a set play. All right, so once that call is signaled in, we should see guys running to their spot. All right, you see John Newman's helping out his younger teammate here. Hey, get your butt over on that side. I'm over here. So everybody gets into position. And we are in our set play. Now, I know our listeners are so intent.
Spain.
There it is. There it is, baby. We have mastered the Spain action. Last week we talked about guarding it. This is us running it. Kansas not in great position to guard it here. Guy guarding Day seems to be forcing the ball left. They probably want their big up high, shading this side a little bit. But they're late getting into it because we got into it quick. We get the ball downhill, which is great. And you see Spain action is not just that ball screen up top. We also get the rear screen set on Jamil's man by Simas here. Again, you want to use your shooter as your screener. You turn on any Golden State Warriors team, you'll see Steph Curry setting more screens than anybody in the NBA off the ball. So we get the advantage. This is Simas's man down here, which is exactly what you want to create for your shooter. He's able to backpedal and get, what you would consider a layup lines, warm up, workout shot, right? Obviously had a tough night. Ball did not go down. But if we're able to execute Spain action and execute our sets where we're connecting on screens like this, like we are up top here, creating rotations, more times than not, I think we're going to knock that one down.
That's 15 feet between Simas and a defender.
No doubt. And
how much do you want to pull your hair out as a coach when it works like that? You get a guy a shot wide open that nobody's even, there's not even a late closeout to that. and
I
it
mean,
doesn't go down.
when it works to the point that it worked so good, it worked even better than you could have imagined, right?
Right.
You just want that gratifying feeling of seeing the ball go through the net so bad. But I think the best thing as a coach, and you'll see Wes do this quite a bit, is situations like that. It's not necessarily the result of the shot. That's the
Right.
focus. It's the guys we executed, man. We're gonna knock that down. I think you got to clap and say good execution in those situations, and know that more times than not we're gonna make that shot. And then again, some of our best offense has been rebounding our own misses. So hopefully less misses to come in the future, but um, have been a good offensive rebounding team to this point, scoring quite a bit on those second chance opportunities. All right, so again, we don't have a fast break here, a 3-on-2, a 2-on-1, a 4-on-3. Fast breaks anytime we got numbers, right? And we're in, almost a full speed down the floor scenario. This is more of a secondary break look. Okay, we're going to start with what they call the dribble handoff here. And that reversal through the big, right? You see that quite a bit in college basketball. A lot of times, a guy guarding your bigs is not going to come out here and deny a pass. He's going to hang back a little bit. So it's always easier to reverse the ball through one of your big guys. All right. This is an interesting wrinkle out of secondary break where after CMOS reverses the ball, he's going to be on a sprint through the baseline, receive some screens, and we're hunting a three for him if we can get it. If not, he should be able to feed the post because they were helping on those screens. So let's see what we got here. All right, CMOS is on a run. We get the baseline runner screening action. Didn't quite get the, they sniffed it out. 10 and 13 talk. They switched the screen, and they cover that pretty good. But what it does create is this mismatch. All right, now we've got a smaller guy guarding Vic. Let's throw it in there, take advantage of that. Good kick. Big guys, their rule, anytime they relocate the ball from the post, they should just follow their momentum and go set a ball screen. So that's exactly what you see here from Vic. He relocates it. He goes and sets one. Now we've got this 2-on-1 down here. This is one of the more interesting situations in college basketball because obviously Aziz is pointing up, right? He wants the lob. Centers, big guys are not super comfortable handling the ball. And so this is typically a dangerous pass. It's tight quarters. There's a big guy in between them. A lot of times this ends up getting deflected, turned over. Your really skilled big guys, can handle the interior passing. But a lot of times this is risky. Vic does a good job shot faking first, and we get the under control pass for a dunk. Good execution there on offense. All right, now at this point, the place is rocking. All right, let's go to the second half where we went through a spell of not being able to execute as well. Went through a pretty dry spell there of not making a field goal. Place is getting louder and louder. We are in one of the more common sets that you're seeing across college basketball right now. Call that horns. All right, that's typically your signal for horns. Pretty standard across college basketball.
Don't do this.
No, depending on where you're at, you don't want to do that one.
Do this.
Yep. So horn set here. It's horns because you've got your two big guys lifted, both corners filled, although you can see John Newman's going to cut through to the other side. I'll explain that in a second. So we're going to use that first ball screen. It's somewhat of a fake, a fugazi, not really a ball screen to score off of. This play is designed to get to multiple sides, and I'll explain more on that here in a minute. All right, so we get the first ball screen. Jamil does a short roll to the middle of the paint. What he's going to do is then replace Victor when Vic comes to set the real ball screen. Okay, so Jamil sets the first one. Vic's going to sprint to a second one. All three guys are on the opposite side of the floor. So what this should create is if Kansas doesn't guard this ball screen well, we should have Jizzle and Vic here potentially to get a layup, or if it's a pick and pop guy, a three on what we would call an empty side. Empty meaning this ball screen's happening and there's nobody else on offense over here. See this a lot in the NBA. So they defend it well. They switch. This play is designed, again, to get to multiple sides. Why do you want to get to multiple sides? Because defense is switching, we want to use some clock. We want to wear them down. We want to attack multiple times, make them guard multiple actions, multiple ball screens. It's a lot to have to guard one side, two side, three sides, and still be sharp on defense and call it all out. So that's why we're seeing this here. Again, reverse it to Jamil. We should see the standard back cut dribble handoff. We see Dan with the back cut. We'd like that to be a little more of a full speed cut because, shoot, if we can get the layup, we'll take it. So Dan sprints through. We get to a ball screen again on this side. Not empty. This time we would call that loaded because Dan is loaded in the corner. So now they have to guard another ball screen. So they've guarded 3 ball screens already. Hopefully they're mismatched by this point, or at least tired. Let's move it one more time. Now we're on the third side. They're going to guard a 4th ball screen. They switch this one. Now we've got Victor being guarded by their point guard. Under 10 seconds on the shot clock. We've worn them down. Let's throw that thing inside. That's why you want to get to 3 sides. You never know what you're going to get, whether it be a miscommunication, a switch that causes a favorable matchup, and now you've got a 2-foot shot, 6'11" against 6 foot. And again, we're just not finishing right now at the rate we would like to. Should be 2 points there in a big moment. But again, I think they're watching that clip, obviously wanting to pull their hair out. How do we not convert that opportunity? But at the same time, got to know Victor ain't going to miss that layup, too many times on a 6-footer. So yes, it does make you want to pull your hair out, but also we're executing. So it's a frustrating situation to be in because the offense is doing their part.
Right.
It's working in theory, right? But it's not leading to points. All right, let's go to just a couple interesting things from the Oklahoma game. This is an interesting set here. Again, it's a set play because we're in that horns alignment. This was a call from the bench or call during a timeout in this horns alignment. This one will be a little different where both bigs turn and set a pin away off ball screening situation for Dan. All right, Dan gets the catch. We toss it back to Jizzle, and now we've got ball screens coming for him. And again, in a different way, we get to Spain where we have a ball screen and a shooter in more of a spread out alignment, but it's the same concept. We got that ball screen. We're setting a back screen for him. We're looking for this lob, right? If we can screen, if we can catch the defense off balance, 5 kind of sniffs it out and takes a Z's. So good job by him. And then, we're hoping maybe CMOS can create an advantage and get an open shot here. Maybe Jizzle drives and attacks. We talked about this last time on offense. When there's a drive, we should be moving, not standing still. So you see Dan reacts to the drive, moves with the ball. Great shot fake. Again, you want a shot fake to slow yourself down, eliminate travels. Then we see the patented Dan Skilling's drive left, spin back right. Pretty good shot, 12 seconds on the shot clock. We trust that Dan's going to finish. Again, just not converting like we want to right now.
Real quick, can you run that play back real quick just for
Sure.
the purpose of this is what defense at the Big 12 level looks like, because this is good action, and Oklahoma does an incredible job at communicating, switching, spacing, and recover to make that possession probably like the action is really good, but the communication by Oklahoma's defense makes things more difficult than they probably should.
Absolutely. And I think, it's harder to finish in these games, especially at the rim.
Just watch the action back behind the play.
No
Everybody, that late closeout is probably the only breakdown that they had, and Dan attacks it like he should.
No doubt. And really good defense not to foul there too.
Yeah. And it's especially relevant coming up with Saturday because UCF is number 6 in the country in adjusted defensive efficiency.
No doubt. They're a really good defensive team, and they've got one of the best shot blockers in the country on their roster. So it will not be easy to finish at the rim on Saturday. That will be for sure. All right, another situational play here. Wanted to look at this one just because it's a trend right now across the NBA, and seeing it more in college as well. This is what we call an exit play. All right, so what appears to just be a high ball screen between Day Day and Vic. Again, loaded because we've got John Newman in the corner here. Anytime you see a shooter kind of under the rim or in the paint when a ball screen is being set, you should start thinking maybe there's an exit play coming. So the idea of the exit play is as this ball screen is happening, everybody on defense tends to look at that action. So can we catch them asleep and set a screen for our best shooter to come out and sneak a three-pointer on the side here, on the wing or the corner, while this ball screen is happening? Now, you got to sell this ball screen to make it look real. Get them to cover the ball screen, and maybe they're not as alert to the shooter underneath. So you'll see the ball screen happening up top. As he's using it, you see CMOS's defenders watching the ball, right? Perfect opportunity for Jamil to screen his own man, screen CMOS's man, and get that sneak, almost trick play three-pointer there. Again, this is an exit play. I'll let you run it back one more time. So now we've got Spain, we've got exit. Your guys' ball screen play terminology is reaching all time heights. It's advancing little by little.
We're at the 201 level. We've been at 101. Now you're getting the mix, like in algebra when they add the extra equation. Now all of a sudden you're not quite at calculus yet, like algebra 2.
No doubt, and we've got horns in there, so we're getting there. We're leveling up.
Don't get me started on floppy post.
We'll get there. All right, let's jump into a little UCF. Just going to kind of let this play. Take a look at their two guys. Leading scorer, Jalen Sellers, right here, trailing the play, number 24. He's taken the most attempts on the team by a long shot. As you can see, the announcers haven't even called out the starting 5 yet. He's launching one from 25 feet. Can really shoot the ball. Left-handed, good offensive player. This is him here in the corner. Not shy at all on offense. One thing that's really prevalent in UCF's offense, and you'll see this time and time again, is the dribble handoff. They do it as much as anybody I've seen in college basketball. Big dribble handoff team. Really like to drive the ball. Their advantage is their guards are quick. Again, another dribble handoff. Guards are quick. They can beat you off the bounce. There you go. 2 shots in 5 seconds.
Not just every clip so far has just been atrocious defense from West Virginia.
Yeah.
You're going under on him? Really?
Yeah, don't want to go under on him. Sellers over here on the weak side. You'll see pretty good defense here on this clip.
Is this one of the 7 made baskets against UCF?
I don't even think they make it.
Nope.
No. Yeah, Houston. We talked about. Oh, this is a good set play too. Talked about UCF being the number 6 defense in the country. That's only good for 3rd best defense in the Big 12. Houston obviously being number 1. So set play here for Sellers. You'll see we have one guy come off of staggers, second guy come off of staggers, and again looking to fire at all times. He can put the ball on the ground, more of a 1-2 dribble pull up kind of guy. But really thinking shot first. All right, let's take a look at we know this guy pretty well. All right, Darius Johnson, played against him for years. More of a driver. So these guys complement each other well. Sellers thinking shot first. Johnson thinking drive first. You'll see him drive left a lot and then come back to his right hand. Very common theme with him. Number 3, head down driver. He can shoot the ball, don't get me wrong. He's actually shot it more this year than he has early in his career. So I think he's more comfortable there, but still not shooting it at a super high clip. Gonna fast forward some of this here. Again, you see the drive left, spin back to his right, and draws quite a bit of fouls, but just always in attack mode on offense. Those are the 2 guys got to watch out for, Sellers and Johnson. Should make for a fun game. We seem to always go down to the wire with them. I will be there on Saturday, and I'm looking forward to it.
All right, that's going to wrap it up. We will see you next week. Hopefully, talking about a couple wins, get this thing back to 4-4, and be in better footing for another tough stretch of 4 or 5 games that are coming up after that, including reintroduction to our old friends down in Houston. So,
no doubt, they're all tough at this point. No getting around.
Keep it moving. I hope you guys are taking notes. We've got got a lot of information in there today. There'll be a quiz next.
A lot of information. Yeah, we might have to start issuing out some Bearcat Journal notepads and pencils.
That's going to wrap it up. Thanks, as always, to our guy, Chris LePore. We will see you next week. That is Brendel's Breakdown, brought to you by the Job Center, right here on BearcatJournal.com.